It is Tuesday night. We're back with another episode of Goal Horns and Fight Songs. I'm feeling pretty good about myself. We have no special guests this week, so sorry to anybody tuning in. Um, but I'm feeling pretty good, Wes. You're probably feeling all right about this past weekend of games. Um,
Yeah.
and I mean, I don't think anybody's feeling better than Miami right now.
No, I mean Miami's playing good. They're 6-0 undefeated. I mean I guess the thing you could say is who have they really played? Um, they played a team that beat the number one team in the country in Ferris State and handled them in both games pretty well. When Western was unable to do so and earned a split there, but no, I mean we've been wanting Miami to play well, and they are. We'll see how it gets to be with conference play, but I mean, really can't ask for a better start to the season than what Miami's doing.
And that's the thing. Regardless of what they do in conference play, you look back at their past couple seasons, they were barely getting a win or two in non-conference play, and they weren't playing anybody at that point. So this is a huge step for them just to be able to get these wins within non-conference play.
Yeah, I mean
Uh,
they've doubled their winning record from last season. They only had 3 wins and they're already at 6, so already making big improvements. So I mean,
good, for, yeah, good for them. I
yeah,
mean, that's exactly like you said. We've been wanting this. It makes the whole conference better, and it makes every weekend more entertaining because now, depending on what conference play looks like moving forward, you can go into the weekend really saying, "Oh, it's just Miami. That should be a sweep." You can say, they might earn a split out of this thing, or they could sweep at home. There's a more plausible chance of them getting a win than the last few years.
yeah. I mean, you really can't write any team off, and we've kind of done it to Miami in the past where we've written them off, but um,
Hi, we've been like like the only team to lose to them the last couple of years.
but you really can't do it this year. They are playing extremely well, scoring at a pretty good clip. Um, where do they rank scoring offense wise? Let's find out. They just had penalties up, but let's see. I mean, their goaltenders are playing really good too. I know that like the first couple of games, it looked like they were, those first couple of Ferris games, it looked like they might have fallen back into some stuff, and their defense wasn't going to be great because there was not a lot of defense in that first series. But they have since turned that around and are playing significantly better hockey. Do not see where they are as far as the NCAA is concerned. And why does this look dumb today? No, stop it. I know, I broke it. Oh, you know what?
You
That could be
you
why.
are a walking disaster.
Some
Right.
days.
From 41.
Some
It's all
days.
fine.
Haha, I found it. I figured out what was part of the problem.
You pressed the wrong button.
Nope. That was on women's hockey, not men's hockey. Gotta remember there are two different hockeys. Now let's check and see. They are number 2 in the country, scoring 4.8 goals a game. Right behind Michigan, who's scoring 575. Your Duluth Bulldogs are fourth at 4 goals a game.
Yeah. Uh, that seems to track, but I mean also I will fully admit, who have we really played? Um, you could argue this weekend series was a ranked team, but I don't think they deserve to be ranked based off of what I saw both nights.
I mean, that was a big series going into that because Minnesota had been they just split with North Dakota in a big rivalry game, and they have another rivalry series with you guys. Say what you will, but coming out with a sweep of that series, I think says a lot about this Duluth team. And we were kind of Brad told us like this team is going to be a lot better the next couple of years as the freshmen, gain experience and take the reins and aren't pushed into leadership roles as a just by perceived expectation, but by actual work and showing up every day and putting in the effort. And I think that's really showing here with what they've been able to do in that first line of yours with the plants, is living up to expectations and even succeeding them in some regards.
They I guess we can just get into this. I was going to try and save it, but I have not been able to watch a ton of the previous games. This weekend was really the first series because I'm just not going to pay for Flow TV or whatever when they're on the road. Um, and I had other things going on. But the Friday night game was what I expect UMD hockey to be. They got up early, they had some nice plays, and then they were suffocating defensively. Um, Saturday, with me being at the game, they did have some defensive lapses, and that led to the one goal that Minnesota had, and Minnesota actually almost had a second goal on almost an identical play where the defense was split coming into the zone on a rush, uh, and even in the first period, Guyon had to make a really good save on a 2-on-1. You can see the development from year one to year two with the plants, Shagabe, and Guyon, because last year Guyon, he was making unbelievable saves, but I think you probably remember me saying he's making freshman mistakes. He's letting rebounds get away, and he's still making some of those mistakes, but it's night and day with how he played last year to how he's playing this year. And even the one goal Minnesota scored, he was right there. He read the play perfectly. It was just a better shot. You can't do much about it. Um, it feels like a completely different team, and I still don't want to get too far ahead of my skis, especially once we get into conference play, because yes, this is not conference. We played Minnesota. They were ranked 12th. We were 18th. Now we're 10th. They're 19th. We played Augustana, dropped one to them, and that's a legitimate Augustana team. They they've proven themselves. Bemidji State, we kind of hammered on them, and then I think was it Fairbanks? I think it was Fairbanks that we played. Um, so other than Augustana, and I guess you could put Minnesota in there, um, about half our games have been worth it. I'm just more curious about conference play and how we're going to do with that, which starts this week with North Dakota.
Yeah, you guys played Fairbanks to start the season, and I mean North Dakota has been up and down. Split with Minnesota, split with Clarkson. They're still. Yes, it's a coach who has been around the program, so they're not having to build a whole new, brand new culture, but they are still trying to deal with a lot of guys who left the program, some big names. Um, Transition to what the new coach wants to instill as far as how he sees games as opposed to what Barry was calling. Um, they're still in a transition for sure, and we're seeing it. Um, but the tough team when it comes time for conference play. Looks like they swept St. Thomas when they played St. Thomas earlier this year. But everything else has kind of been a split. So
Mm-hmm.
consistency issues, maybe. Again, they have a transfer goalie, one who was in the conference last year, albeit at Arizona State, and had a pretty good year down there. So we'll see if that allows him to be any better than Septenfelter last year, who would have been in the conference either way, but transitioned from Arizona State to North Dakota before the Arizona State joined. Um,
I
but
think
that should be another good matchup, though.
yeah, and you look at North Dakota splitting with Minnesota, and then UMD obviously sweeping them this last weekend. It says something about that North Dakota team that they came to play. It also says something about my Bulldogs. It should be a very entertaining series. It if you look at what they've done to start the season, especially with one common opponent, I think it could be a split and very tightly contested hockey games at that. I don't think one team's going to blow out the other, especially if UMD continues to play how they've played. If we get that 1-0 lead, you're going to have a hell of a time trying to get chances in the offensive zone, and that's the part that makes me so excited. Is this is how we won national championships. Yes, we had offensive prowess with guys that now succeeding in the NHL, but we got that lead. We weren't giving it back, and it's kind of a very with it being the 25th season of the Minnesota Wild, a very Jacques Lemaire trap esque style of play where get the early lead and then just suffocate them defensively. Don't push, don't do anything, be very responsible. And that's kind of how I see Sandy playing this thing.
And it also doesn't hurt that he's got a power play that's 10 for 31, 32%, sixth in the country. So don't take
I mean,
penalties if you're playing Duluth, which could be a problem. It honestly feels like penalties are up across college hockey this year for like to a ridiculous degree. You guys are also 12th in penalty kill at
yeah.
89.3%. You guys have allowed 28 power plays against you, but only allowed 3 goals. So special teams
And
working for Duluth right now.
the penalties up. You would message me about this, and I do agree to an extent. Now, the game that I was at on Saturday, it only had four. It was two apiece. But what I have watched, it does seem like they're calling it a little bit more tightly. And yeah, some of them are obvious. And regardless of the team that you're cheering for, I'm going to look at it and be like, yeah, you deserve that. What is the Winnipeg Jets guy, I think? And he's in the box and he sees the replay on the Jumbotron. He's like, yeah, I kind of deserve that one. But at the same time, I'm going to look at even if it's for the opposing team. Yeah, we get a power play. Yeah, that might not be an actual penalty. I don't know what they're looking at. So that'll be interesting to follow because usually early in the year, regardless of league, they're going to be calling penalties more heavily.
Oh yeah, no, so what I did is I looked at the first 5 games of the year last year. Western had 10 power plays. Already through 5 games this year, they were at 28 power plays. Like they are now, whether it's they're calling anything and everything early in the season, or if the transition from all the CHL players and a different style of play has come into college hockey, and that transition's a little bit different than what a lot of people are expecting. I don't know. I don't know what percentage of CHL players are taking these penalties, or if they're taking more or less than a USHL player or a couple year vet of college hockey player. You know what I mean? So it's some things to look at and track, but I do think that overall we're seeing a tick in penalties. I mean, Penn State, who is the most penalized team in men's hockey right now, has allowed 33 or 39 power plays against them.
That's I that could be just because they have so much attention on them too. I
That
mean,
could be too, because
I have no idea.
I mean,
Um,
realistically, I think if you were to point more fingers at the CHL, you would expect a team potentially like Nebraska Omaha, who went very heavy into college hockey, U Sports and CHL players to be near the top of the list, and yet they're 53rd in the country, only allowing 19. They're 53rd overall in power play percentage at six, or penalty kill percentage at 63-2. They've taken 19 penalties and allowed 7 power play goals. So
I,
their actual, number of power plays is not up there with the worst, but they are allowing quite a few power play goals, which is kind of taxing Simon Letkozy, which we saw last year when one of their they were out so many players that one of their strategies was just to let Simon see the puck and stop as many as he could. So
I, I think the weird part though, talking about these penalties is watching that game on Saturday. My brother and I, we saw the exact opposite of what is the trend throughout college hockey. There was one Gopher player absolutely drilled a bulldog, and they didn't have the puck, not even close to the puck, never had touched it. Clear interference penalty, absolutely lights them up, and we're like, huh, no harm, okay. But then down on our end, there was a bulldog player, I can't remember who it was, and they gave the Gopher player about 6 solid cross checks to the small of the back. No arm goes up. But then you have these calls where you're like, I don't know where you're seeing this penalty. It was the complete opposite though, where there's a lot of things that were obvious calls they weren't calling,
yeah,
and I
I
don't
mean
know what's
we see that
causing that.
every year too. There's some games where they'll let guys go a little bit more than they should, or they'll call some ticky tack stuff just to kind of establish that hey, there are refs at the game. Um, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's been interesting for
I
sure.
I I will say I was okay with them not calling those things because it was even both sides, and there was even uh what's his name? I can't remember his name now. I gotta look it up. Um, but it was on the face-offs, second period into the third period. Um, hang on, hang on. Scott Truman, who's a senior, who transferred from Lowell, he was getting into it with their right winger, and it didn't matter who he was lining up against, and they're just jostling before the pucks even dropped. Twice the refs had to come over and be like, "Really, guys? Like, knock it off." But they didn't take them.
Yeah,
They knew they were just. It was a rivalry game. Tempers are flaring, but they're not going after it. Boom! They just, hey, knock it off, play on, and nothing ever came of it. So I like that type of officiating.
yeah. I guess. I mean, I guess to a certain degree, it's how much are the refs able to maintain the integrity of the game, and are we creating a situation of unsafety? If the game
Mm-hmm.
is safe and you're maintaining the integrity of the game, I'm all for letting guys be a little bit more physical for sure. I
Mm-hmm.
think where it crosses the line is when guys are spending more time trying to sword fight or jockey for position and put each other through the glass than we're playing a game of hockey. That's I think where you got to start blowing the whistle on some of this stuff and establish that there are still rules to the game and we're going to play by the rules because we're not looking to get anybody hurt or out for an extended period.
And that's what I typically saw when I was in college when I did go to the D3 games for mine. I do feel bad though that we got a fortunate bounce. Minnesota was trying to clear the puck. It might have been our first goal. Ended up hitting the linesman who was trying to get out of the way. And I tell you what, these linesmen, they were getting pelted. by pucks in this game. And they were in perfect position. They were doing what they were supposed to do. They just kept getting drilled by pucks, and it worked out in UMD's favor, or in Minnesota's favor as well. But it was just like, oh, the fans are all upset. They're mad at the refs, and it's like, what is he supposed to do? Where is he gonna go?
Right.
He literally was in the spot he was supposed to be. He jumped up, and it just hit him in the ankle. Whatever. Uh,
And they're in
so,
play. It kind of sucks, but they are in play.
yep.
Let's see what else. What else we want to talk about? We got the Western versus U of M. That was a 2-3 matchup. They
Mm-hmm.
since switched spots in the poll. Michigan moves up to 2, Western down to 3. Kind of makes sense. Western does have 2 losses, one of them being again to an unranked Ferris team, very first game of the year. The weird thing about that Thursday game was it wasn't like Western played absolutely terrible. I think really if you look at it, if you're able to go find that game and watch a replay of it or something, I don't know what Big Ten does with their past broadcasts, but they played good individual defense. Their team defense, well, that was something to be worked on, which they did do Saturday or Friday. It was a weird series. It was Thursday, Friday, not Friday, Saturday.
Yep.
And I think that showed in the fact that they gave up 2 power play goals to Michigan. So the score was a little bit more lopsided than the game was, but I do think the game was pretty lopsided too. Michigan did seem to do a good job of pressuring Western, keeping them in their own defensive zone. From time to time, Western was caught chasing. There'd be 2 guys on the puck, neither one of them really doing anything other than 2 guys skating in each other's way as opposed to actual defending. But a lot of the one-on-one chances, like Western did a really good job shutting it down, pushing it to the outside, even taking pucks away, especially early in the game. So individual effort Thursday was solid. Again, team defense was, I don't understand what they were doing. It made no sense that their team defense was cheeks, but one-on-one they were good. And then
Yeah.
Friday, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No,
No, keep going. Keep going.
And then Friday, much improved. The defense seemed to work together and not get in each other's way. Western controlled the puck a lot more. They weren't chasing as often. Scored some 5-on-5 goals. They did get 1 power play goal. The power play is still something that really, really needs to figure itself out.
That was your second one of the year?
Third.
Third?
Western is 3 for 34 on the power play.
Solid.
Some of those may be shortened power plays because they've taken their own penalty and ended it short. Some of them may be abbreviated power plays on a team that maybe both were sitting in the box. And the other team had ruined their own power play and gotten out first. So or Western had gotten out first and ended up on the power play. But yeah, 3 for 34, .088 field percentage. It's fantastic. It's great. It's not. I don't know. I don't understand it. They've been so successful in years past of getting a guy net front, and it just seems like nobody wants to play that spot. They're almost absolutely opposed to sitting at the top of the crease and trying to take the goalie's eyes away. But when they do it, somehow, for some reason, the puck ends up behind the goalie. It's almost like it's fucking magic. And everybody understands the trick but the magician in this case.
The thing that I noticed on the Thursday game, and you and I were talking about this, is it was a lot of hero hockey. It just was. There was no cohesiveness. And you said it, the individual efforts, they're great, but you can't be doing that to win a national championship. That's how they won it last year. That's how any team wins it. You are a team. And I was not all that impressed with Michigan. But every goal that Hampton let in, there was nothing he could do about it. I mean, he was the only one. I think I said this. I'm like, he's the only one that seems like he remembered how to play hockey. He
Yeah.
he was working his ass off, and the rest of the team, they were like, we're out here to impress I don't know who. Um, and Ivan Kovic, I'm gonna call him Ivan Kovic, even though everybody says Ivan Kovic. Um,
I've heard it both ways.
and I just bugs me. No offense to Ben. Um, he didn't seem to impress me. He just seemed solid, but at the same time, he didn't have to impress. There was nothing that was a difficult shot. He didn't win them the game. He
Yeah, he
could have
just didn't.
lost
He
them the
didn't
game.
lose them the game. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, he could have lost them the game, but he didn't. He was solid. He was fine.
he just got hit by a lot of
He did
pucks
what he was
because
supposed to do.
there's not a lot of aiming the puck again. Like there's Western's got to figure out some consistency, but it's got to be you've got to take better shots. You can't. I mean, granted, we say it at the end of every show, pucks on net, good things happen, but you have to make those good things happen too. And it can't just be aim for the middle of the net and hope to God the goalie's in some weird spot. Like they're just throwing anything and everything. And again, it gets to that point of there's no net front presence on this team right now.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
the goalie's alone, and you're either hitting him in the chest or the other team's getting to rebounds. And until we get a consistent net front present, you have to aim better shots. You have to dial them in. You have to walk them into where you're trying to hit and put
Or
them,
change the angle or something.
change the angle, change the location where you're shooting. Like just mix something up. It can't just be everything and anything aimed at the middle of the net. It can't be.
There were 3 or 4 posts hit by Minnesota on Saturday, and every single one of them was, and this is something Guyon has to work on. And I'm saying it like it's easy to do, but it was a toe drag. They changed the angle of the shot and then they released it, and it beat them. They just kept hitting the post. Minnesota actually probably could have won that game. They probably should have won that game with how many times they beat them based off a simple toe drag move. And it was the same thing, but they're changing the angle
Yeah.
because that's what goalies look for. You look up any goalie, you talk to any goalie, that's what they're looking for is the release angle. And as soon as you change it, boom, their whole thing is thrown off.
All I can think
Was
of you saying that is Trevor talking about Wade Allison just launching the puck from the middle of the ice. It's Trevor. He knows where we're going to shoot. Well, shoot somewhere else. I don't want
yep.
to. But like, go back. I mean, again, he's gone. He's in the NHL or the AHL now. But go back and watch Alex Bump. Like, go watch. Pick any game. It doesn't matter which one because the kid put more pucks on net than any player for Western last year by a significant margin. But go and watch him. Go watch him miss the first 3 or 4 shots, and you'll watch him dial it in. He might miss by 6 inches the first shot. The next shot, he's missing by 3 inches. Then he's missing by 2, and he's putting 1 in the net if he gets enough opportunities because he's dialing in his shot and he's putting it where he wants to. And it's
I mean,
ridiculous to watch that kid play for 2 years and watch him legitimately dial in a shot because I sit right behind the goalie for 2 periods, and if they were winning a faceoff from on the right of the goaltender, he was probably getting the first shot off the faceoff or on the power play, and he was just dialing in the whole game, looking for like one square of net that he was going to aim for, and until he hit it, he wasn't going to stop shooting.
and I mean, the perfect example of that too is Ovi. You look at how many power play goals he's scored from his office and how many shots he's missed from there, but he dials it in.
Oh yeah.
And the problem is, I think a lot of players think they have a great shot. And I'm sorry, but you have to change things up because Ovi's once in a generation player where he can put the same shot and it doesn't matter if you know it's coming or not, it's still going to beat you. You have to change things up. But like you were saying with Bump, it was that progression, and you saw it for 2 years where he was learning the game, and now UMD has that with our first line. Those kids are learning the game, and they're even their puck control. and looking for each other, that chemistry that's built and their toughness on the puck, that's been upgraded a ton. Um, but yeah, you can't win a game like the Thursday night game if you don't have net front presence. You can put all the shots you want on net, but if the goalie can see them, good things aren't going to happen because they're a Division One goalie for a reason. Um, Even a Division Three goalie, top tier club hockey goalie, it's like a quarterback in football. You give them time, any quarterback's good.
Yeah.
You give a goalie line of sight to the puck, unless you do something to change it. If you're just firing it on net, they should be able to stop it.
Yeah. There was one, I don't remember who shot the play, but Western's like in all alone. And the kid just straight logos the goalie. Like from the top of the face-off circles, just straight logos the goalie who's in the middle of the like not even like to one side or the other. They're literally straight coming down the slot. Logos the goalie. And the goalie just holds on. Like what are we doing here? You still got like 15 feet of space. You can make a move. You could do something and put it on a post or something. Like no, just straight chested him.
That's why you got to do the Brian Ralston. Just take a clapper from the hash marks.
I mean,
See
I'm pretty sure he did. He just hit the goalie directly in the logo. And there was no like we weren't picking corners and clap bombing corners. Weren't picking targets.
Was he hoping for? I think it was in. Was it D2, Mighty Ducks movie where hits the goalie in the mask and it trickles in behind him?
Yeah.
Was that what he was hoping for?
I don't know, either that or he thinks he's Fulton and just going to put the goalie in the net with the puck. I don't know. Ian. But I didn't watch a whole lot of games. I did watch both Western games. One cuz one was on Thursday and I was sitting at the bar watching the game while I was working, and the other one I was at. So I didn't watch a lot of the other games. Um so I really have no idea what happened other than final scores. Omaha
Yeah,
split
no.
with UMass. Denver absolutely rocked BC and then lost to Northeastern 1-0. Um,
Uh, ASU, I think they got swept by Augustana.
that was a
Or that was no,
while
that was
ago.
2 weeks ago.
ASU did not play.
Yeah, that was 2 weeks ago.
Miami swept Lindenwood. North Dakota split with Clarkson. St. Cloud State swept Alaska Anchorage. Don't like now, but the St. Cloud State team seems to be legit, and that's who Western will play this weekend in St. Cloud. Um,
I think was it uh the Friday game. Yeah, the Friday UMD Gopher game. They were talking about they had Adam Shearhorn, who was the Gopher goalie. He was the analyst for the game, and saw the Clarkson North Dakota score, and he brought up a good point about they were still talking about pairwise, but even with this new system that they've implemented for the postseason, you want all the teams that you've played, even if they are a rival, to do well and not lose to a team like Clarkson, because then that's going to hurt your position with an at-large bid into the tournament. And I thought that was kind of interesting.
I mean, yes and
Or
no, because
potentially.
depending on what is it like, there's some weird rule that like you have to have 12 of your wins count. So if you win more than 12 games, you can start kind of finagling things a little bit. And if
Mhm.
there's a win or a loss that actually like hurts your stats, you can get rid of it.
Yeah, and I think that they weren't really aware of whatever this new system's called. I can't remember.
It's like
They were
NP or
going
something.
something like that, but they were going more off the pairwise because I just don't think they were aware, which I don't think most people are. So that's not knocking them for that. But it was still an interesting point to bring up where it's like, oh yeah, that's true. As much as I love to watch North Dakota lose, especially to a team like Clarkson, um, helps a little bit more if they win because it might take it down a notch, and who knows what you're going to have later in the year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, there's some finagling, and it's going to be interesting to learn and see if a team gets in that wouldn't have gotten in. But I think they kind of like, there's some people who are running the numbers, and pretty much everybody who made the tournament last year would have made the tournament uh, anyway under the new guidelines. And I think maybe Western would have been a little bit higher seed, but I mean, it worked out where they were seeded. They were
Yeah.
a 1 seed anyway. It wasn't, they might have ended up with a worse draw really if they had been ranked higher. I mean, look at what happened in was it Youngstown? Is that where Penn
Yeah.
State came out of?
I think it was Allentown.
Allentown. Yeah, yeah, yeah. One of the
Yeah.
two towns. Anyway,
Pennsylvania.
whatever
Amish country.
quadrant they were in, Penn State was coming out of there because they had a large home ice advantage. But so Western will play the back-to-back best power plays. What they saw at Michigan and now what they have at St. Cloud State this weekend. They were able to keep Michigan to 3 for 11 penalties or power plays, but taking 11 penalties on a weekend is a few too many, and especially when your power play, which is drawing penalties, is not capitalizing on that man advantage. And taking that many penalties, again, it taxes your goaltender, it taxes your defense, it gets everything out of sorts and doesn't allow you to run the team the same way that you normally would.
Oh, and it screws up your line combination.
Yeah.
Like if you're rolling 3, 4 lines, now all of a sudden your first 2 lines are playing a bunch, or depending
At
on if
least
you're
your
on the power play.
top defensive top defensive pairs are playing a
Yeah,
bunch if you're on the PK.
if you're on the PK, usually maybe your third line, they're usually kind of the better defensive
Forwards.
shutdown. Yeah. Um, but they're taxed. So now you're having to juggle which lines and it throws off all your matchups. Uh, so lesson to every team: just don't go in the box.
Yeah. I mean, St. Cloud State has got it clicking. They're at 14 of 33 for a 42% power play percentage right now. Like they are cooking. See what their penalty kill is at. Hopefully that's trash because that would be nice. It is. They are 42nd. They are 6 for 25 on the PK.
Nice.
They've allowed 6 goals on 25 attempts. They're at 76% on the button for PK.
But they are a team that, unlike Miami, we know what Coach Larson can do. They just had a couple of down years. We knew he was going to be able to rebuild because he has had success there since Motzko left to go to Minnesota. It was just a matter of when. It wasn't if, it was when. And so far to start the season, seems like the when is now.
Yeah, I mean, it could be another situation where it's let's take a look at the opponents and make sure we're judging accordingly. But I don't think they've lost either. I know they lost to Vermont. They have a split with Vermont.
Mm-hmm.
Bemidji.
Yeah, I think Miami might be
Swept
the only
Bemidji.
Yeah, Bemidji's not very good.
Went to a tie against Augustana in the exhibition.
That Augustana team
lost one to St. Thomas, which I think they'll play the other half of that later in the year, maybe.
Probably.
So they do have a few losses. So I mean, a little inconsistency, but getting it going here lately. But again, that's one of the, like I said, it's one of those situations where look at the teams you've played: Vermont, Bemidji, St. Thomas, Augustana. Augustana's been really, really good.
There was on
St.
this
Thomas is
UMG
decent.
fan page on Facebook, there was somebody that they were all upset over the Saturday loss, and it was, well, we just can't keep recruiting from Hermantown and whatever. I'm like, you literally don't know what you're talking about. Look at this Augustana team and what they have built, and over the past couple of years, we talked about it with Ben. They're stepping it up each year. They are on the trajectory of a St. Thomas. They are a good team. This is not playing a Miami from the last few years. This is not playing a Long Island. No offense to them. It's a good team. It's okay to lose to them. And so then, me being my snarky self, after they had lost to Arizona State, I was like, it's okay, I accept your apology now. And they're like, I never said any of that. I'm like, well, you kind of did. You were all upset that we lost to a very good Augustana team. I think they're going to make the tournament this year.
I mean, they definitely have an opportunity to compete for that number one spot in the CCHA.
Yeah, I think
I think that maybe the top three teams
Mankato
there
was
right now are St. Thomas, Mankato, and Augustana. At least as far as what I've seen in results wise.
uh Tech might
Tech,
Tech was up there last year.
yeah, Tech might be another top four team.
Yeah, I
Um,
think those are the top four: Tech, Augustana, Mankato, and St. Thomas.
Northern Michigan is improved, but I think they took a couple tough losses. Um,
And that's, I mean, you look at what they had to deal with last. They're full rebuild,
yeah,
so not much
Fair
you can.
Fair State has got some big wins on the season. I don't know what Bowling Green's done. Um,
I don't know what they've done either, but
but
they're usually a little bit lower on the totem pole.
but much like when if someone notices that I never tweet anything about the team that Western's playing, it's because I really don't care about them. Just like I don't really care about the other conferences if we're talking about the NCHC, which is all we really care about. We'll look at the other ones when we have to see who we're playing.
Yeah, beginning of the season or around Christmas.
Yep. So let's get into this weekend. Like we said, Western at St. Cloud State, Alaska Anchorage at Denver. Denver's been a little inconsistent, a little shaky. They have taken some losses early in the year. A loss to Lindenwood. Responded pretty well and took down the second game there. Um,
But that for Denver, it seemed to be their blueprint the last couple years, where yeah, they've had injuries and whatever, but that first half of the season, they're not really eh, they're in the mix. Even last year,
well,
they were having some struggles.
last year they were 12-0 until they played ASU. Or 10-0.
Uh, but last year, didn't they lose to UNLV in that exhibition?
Yeah, after Christmas. But I mean, the start of the
Oh,
year
that
they
was
came
after.
out hot, and they were
Oh,
like
okay.
Arizona State gave them their first loss of the season last year. They made it through October
I was maybe
undefeated.
thinking like 2 years ago or something like that. Um, but they will do that
Oh
where
yeah,
they come out kind of iffy. Yeah, it might have been a couple years ago, and then second half of the year when it actually matters, they turn it on.
yeah.
So
I
I'm
mean,
not too worried about.
they were a Final Four team last year once everybody got
And
back and healthy. So
it was funny. My dad asked me this weekend, "How about Denver? Like, how are they?" I'm like, "They're Denver. They're even if they're struggling a little bit, you're if you're going to put money on a team to finish in the top two or three of the conference, a safe bet is Denver."
yeah, I think they finished fourth last year. They rallied to get fourth because they didn't jump Omaha. I
Yeah,
think
because it
Omaha
was
was three.
ASU, Omaha, Denver.
Yeah.
but
Uh,
usually a safe bet.
I mean, like they'll pick it up for conference play for sure. And
Hmm.
then Omaha, Colorado College, a good goaltender battle there that we've seen the last 3-4 years, or going into the fourth year, between like Cozy and Berko. Actually, a couple of captains, goalies in that series, both named captain wearing the C for their respective teams. Arizona State at Miami. Let's see if Arizona State can be the first team to knock off Miami and once again hand a undefeated team their first loss of the season like they did last year.
I think that has a solid ability to be a split.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I could definitely see it.
ASU, they're coming off a bye week, um, but also, even though I just said it, you got swept by a very good Augustana team. Miami's they're doing all right. I think it's not going to be that that cupcake series that it used to be.
And I mean, to be fair, like we keep saying that it was like cupcake series. There were a lot of close series last year with Miami. It wasn't like they were getting blown out 8-0 every game. They were in some games and lost some games late in uh
I think
I mean, I think they lost quite a few like 2-goal games, but you could really say they were 1-goal game because they were pushing with the empty net to push the
it,
score to a 2-goal game, or they were in games late and just kind of fell apart in the last 5 minutes of the third period type thing. They're finding ways to win those games so far this year, and even getting some really good scoring on their own.
yeah, and I think that's a fair point. They were more or less finding ways to lose those games, and now they're finding ways to win those games because even
And
I,
both games with
I'd be in
Lindenwood went
St.
to
Cloud,
overtime 5-4. Miami wins.
like I'd be in St. Cloud and watching UMD those couple years where it was UMD St. Cloud 4 or 5 matchups. Miami's the 8 seed. They're playing North Dakota. Scores flashing up. Miami's ahead with like 3 minutes to go in the second. What is happening? So I mean, they were a good team, and even when they had Person, we all knew how good he was. We've said it many times over. He kind of was the reason they were close in games. They just didn't have the offense. But those guys fought hard. It was more a cupcake series in the sense of they didn't have any wins. You should beat this team because they don't have any wins. They find ways to lose. I am just the walking example of a fan of a team that would be the one team that they would find a way to beat because we didn't know what to do, and Person would make 40 billion saves in the game.
Sorry, I'm counting.
We're going to be here a while.
So they have 6 legit 1-goal losses last year. And then they have, some 3-goal losses, which again could have been an empty net situation to really push that lead. Uh, some overtime. I counted all the 1-goal losses, so whether it was overtime or not. Um, 2-0 to Western. I mean, that's a pretty tight game. Uh, 3-1 to Omaha. That's pretty close. That could have been an empty net to really push that to 3-1. It could have been a 2-1 game. 4-2 to North Dakota. That could have been a game where the empty net made it 4-2 instead of 2-3. 4-5. They lost 4-5 to North Dakota. Like they were in some games against some good teams last year. They
Mm-hmm.
just, it's one of those things where like every bad bounce went against them, and now that it seems like they're getting some decent bounces to go for them, and that's really all it takes to get a little bit of confidence in mojo for a team, and you could really run with it. I think that's kind of what happened to Western too. Is they finally got some bounces to go their way. Um, Still had some of the worst puck luck in some situations. I don't know how many shutouts were blown by just the dumbest of bounces on goaltenders who were having stupid good nights, or they may have only seen 10 shots in a game, and the 11th one was the one that beat them, and then they didn't see another shot the rest of the game. So they weren't. But some of those situations, I think, it kind of clouded how we saw Miami. A lot of times we just saw the win lose, and we weren't watching the full game to see how well they were
Hmm.
playing or things like that. But definitely, record wise, much improved over last year. Scoring goals, competing, picking up wins. Um, but Arizona State's no pushover either, and you can't say that they're a surprise team anymore. They came into the conference and took number two and have some big wins of their own this year, but also struggling a little bit. So I think it's some good matchups to start conference play this year, and I'm a lot less comfortable picking games than I was probably a couple years ago with some of the way that some of the matchups are this year.
I think so too. I would agree, and um, it, part of it is the two teams that have made it difficult, at least for this year, right now, are Denver and Miami with how they've started the year. Um, Arizona State, we're still learning them as a team. I'm still pretty confident. uh, Yes, they did lose guys, but every team lost guys. There's still guys that were there from the first year. I don't think that was a fluke. UMD, especially talking with Brad, could kind of see this coming that there was going to be an improvement because really kind of tough to be much worse than we were. Colorado College, they're improved from where they had been when Emberico was a freshman. Omaha, they're sitting kind of where they are. North Dakota, usually they're right about where they normally have been. They just had that kind of odd year where they finished sixth, I believe. Um, Western's going to be where they're at. So it really does come down to Denver how they perform to start the year and Miami with how they perform to start the year. That that makes it a little more difficult.
And Colorado College is 5-1 so far this year. Their only losses to UConn, the second game of the year. So let's not say
Hmm.
that they're playing well or terrible either. And that's improved because last year they struggled a bit. Last year their defense wasn't quite where it should have been, based on what we had seen previous years. So they seem to be getting back to that a little bit. I think that should be like a mainstay in their game because it
Yeah,
carried
because
them a long way when they were getting that defensive play.
their pendulum had swung way to the other side last year. It
Yeah,
was 2 years ago, you had Hunter McCown, who was their offense. And then last year, they had zero defense other than Emberico.
yeah.
And now maybe it's kind of coming back to that evening out point.
And Omaha is 2-2 uh, on the year so far. A couple of splits, an exhibition win over Air Force. Um, so only 4 games that have counted for Omaha so far coming into conference play. Still fresh, but I like
Do
the
they have
matchups. And
do they have 37 home games in a row now?
I don't know. I didn't look. I should have. But yeah, I think they might be on a little stretch of home games. Let's see.
Well, actually, I know Brent is coming up in, I think he said 3 weeks. So they will be up in Duluth in just a few weeks because I was messaging him the other night
Yeah,
on
so
Saturday.
they're at Colorado, home for North Dakota, at Duluth, home for Western. So they kind of bounce around. They bounce back and forth. Away for Yale, at Grand Forks for North Dakota, at Sioux Falls for Augustana. I think the second half of the year they're kind of home heavy.
Um,
Well, no, they're
uh,
they're pretty back and forth the whole year. They play Miami to close it out though.
I'm just gonna because you said Yale. This past summer, ended up stopping for gas in New Haven. You would think that a city that has a school like Yale
Let's
would
see.
be fairly nice. That place was not even the armpit of America. It was terrible.
It was the
So no
ingrown
offense to
armpit
anybody
hair.
that lives in New Haven, but you guys got to figure it out. That was I'm like, why did I not bring a gun?
Fun stuff. The joys of traveling this beautiful country of ours.
Hmm. Um, Boston was awesome, and let's see, I drove past Northeastern. I drove past uh, uh, Harvard, and then there was a UMass school.
Denver
But
does have the top penalty kill in the country right now. They are batting 1,000, 13 kills on 13 penalties. So,
I was just like, oh, well, now I understand why they play series the way that they do. Even though I kind of knew it once I actually physically saw it, I'm like, oh, it's literally a 20-minute ride
yeah, no,
to
no, no.
any team that you're playing.
Yeah, the Northeast is everybody's super close. They don't have the wide expanses that the NCHC does or anybody in the Midwest. I mean, Western's closest opponent is Miami, and that's a 4.5 hour drive as far
Yeah,
as
I mean,
conference
our
play.
I think St. Cloud is probably an hour and a half from Duluth, maybe two. Then next year St. Thomas will be two and a half, something like that.
And then Tom says
Uh,
that you better have stopped at Frank Pepe's in New Haven in the chat.
no, we literally just got gas and got the hell out of there.
But hi, Tom.
Hi, Tom.
Uh, yeah, no, I think that's about all I got. You got anything fun, exciting, special you want to talk about? Talked about penalties. Keeping an eye on those throughout the year. Um, Hopefully, teams being more consistent, playing some better hockey of the teams that we expected to be good, and figuring out what Miami is this year.
No, nothing other than I mean, we got the since Tom's in here, World Juniors coming up. We'll probably cover that once the rosters are announced, but Tom will be here in town for that.
Uh,
Um,
Remember, there's
I'll
two
try to
there's
say hi
two
to
sets
him.
of interesting rosters to keep an eye on. World Juniors and what is it, the Springer Cup thingy, where there's the basically like a
Spangler?
college Spangler something.
Maybe
It
it's a
starts with an
Spangler
S.
Cup.
I don't know, but anyway, it's a essentially a college hockey all stars team being put together. Uh, so it'll be interesting to see who gets plucked for that team, which I think it'll be some of the older guys who aren't eligible for World Juniors. You'll see go towards that one, and then the under 21. Is it 21 for the World Juniors? Under U
20, I
21
believe.
or U 20?
I think it's 20.
Um, so some of the players not picked for that will end up, I think, being some of the top representatives on that. Yeah, Spengler Cup. Spengler. We were close enough. We knew the letters that were supposed to be there, I think. Um,
For the most part.
yeah,
We knew letters.
couple interesting holiday tournaments to watch out for and see how that affects some of the college hockey holiday tournaments. I think Western could potentially be without a couple guys. Hampton might, I would think, is still probably one of the, if not the clear front runner, at least considered for that World Juniors team that he backed up last year as being the number one guy for them. With I think Trey Augustine being ineligible but eligible for the other one. And potentially, I think someone was floating around the idea that Michaels would be selected for that team too, so they could be without a couple of their top guys going into the Quick Trip Holiday Tournament in Milwaukee if both of those come to fruition. But we'll look at those as we get closer and things become finalized and announced. But I think that's it. I've got nothing else. If there's nothing on
I
your
mean,
end, and we've gone through
other
all of.
than we're we're rivals for this weekend, even though I think your hat is going to torch my hat. Uh, there's that.
Well, I mean, if you had a quarterback, you might have a shot. If only you guys hadn't let what's his not
Carson
Dalton.
Wentz play with a fractured socket.
He's got a fractured brain, all right? That guy does not make good decisions on a football field.
He had no business being on that football field.
No, who's Sam Darnold. You guys should not have let Sam Darnold walk for old Carson Wentz.
Well, was JJ. We should just throw in Brosmer. Screw it. Let the kid play.
But
He's young
yep,
enough. He can die. If he dies, he dies.
Lions
Oh
got
wait,
some
that's
guys coming back. That torch secondary is that what played extremely well the last game. So coming off the bye week, getting some guys back could be a good game. But back to
all right.
hockey. Uh, Pucks on net. If you aim them right, good things happen. Like goal
Great
horns and
call.
fight songs. Until the next episode. He's Mike. I'm Wes. We're out of here. Bye.